G'day friends, welcome to the Buddies podcast. If you're running a small business, mindset, as you know, is absolutely crucial. You're full of challenges, you're full of new responsibilities, full of trying to manage a very busy diary and a very busy business and making lots of decisions, often just by yourself. That's why mindset is so important, and that's why the conversation I'm about to have with Kara Lambert is well worthwhile listening to. She's an expert psychologist and her specialty is in small businesses and imposter syndrome. I think you will love this conversation. G'day, Kara. Welcome to the Buddies podcast.
Hey, Peter. Thanks for having me on the podcast.
Absolute pleasure. I'm interested in your experience with small business owners. What's the biggest mindset problem you see them facing?
My clients come to me when they're at a growth edge. They're looking to bring on their first staff member. They're looking to business in some way. They want to bring on a new product or a service. So they're kind of at a growth edge and they feel like they're stuck or they feel like they're overwhelmed. But realistically, it's a lot of stories that they're playing in, either what they should be doing, what they can't do, imposter syndrome. A lot of them come. That's really when they come to me. It's that edge. They're about to take that next step.
Okay. When did you first get interested in this mindset piece?
First got interested in mindset stuff. I was doing my year 11 art project at school.
Okay.
Psychology and art. So I looked at that. I decided I wanted to go, which I do have. I've got a degree in psychology. And then went off, joined the public sector. I needed to be at home more for my kids. So removed myself from the public sector and started working in that I had set up then. And at that point in time, a lot of my friends, because I was doing markets, and were coming to me saying, "Hey, Kara, you've got a Facebook page. It's going really well. How do you do it?" And so I social media that I knew back then. This was about 2014.
Wow.
And so I taught them everything that I knew about how to work or anything like that back in the day. And I taught them, but they wouldn't do it. And they're like, "Nah, I'm too scared. I can't do it." So what I realized was that, hang on a minute, there is so much behind the success of a business, and who better to help small business leaders with their mindset than someone who has literally trained in psychology and knows small business.
Because there are lots of people I come across that don't have any formal training and have acquired a skill or picked up a workshop or picked up a point of view and written a book about something. And you think, well, says who? I mean, says who that will work?
There's a lot of that. And look, I don't downplay the benefit. This is what has worked. But I'm not that kind of person personally. I need to know that it's practice and there's good data behind it. So a lot of my clients are very, they've had of some type or another, or they've trained at university, or they run their own professional services. They're educated. So they know that, look, there is a place for this. Worked for me. It might work for you, but that it's backed by good science and good research.
Yes. And I guess over the past decade or so, there's been so much work being done in the positive psychology space, because previously most psychology was like what I would call maladaptive, which is more like you're schizophrenic or you've got some maladaptive issue going on in your mind. Whereas more recently with people like Martin Seligman and others, it's psychology for people that are already doing well to help them do better, which I guess is a lot of the Buddies members are like that. They're people that are doing really well, but just want to feel better while they're doing it.
Yeah, and I think that's the thing, it's the growth and moving forward. W We're all in business to grow it. Now, not all of us want a 6, 7-figure, 8 business and make our money off of that, but we want it to have a degree of need to continue and to provide for us, whether it's financially or freedom, growth mindset, regardless. And that's one of the things that Seligman is great for, and that we look at psychology now.
Yeah, yeah. The growth mindset and that learned optimism, which I really enjoy. I think that's really cool. When I first learned about learned optimism, I thought that was really cool because it's something that you're like your explanatory style or the way that you explain things to yourself is something that you acquired, which means it's changeable. It's not something. It's not like I'm not like I wasn't born pessimistic. I wasn't born. I can change that when it's appropriate. Yeah.
Yeah, and it's interesting how much, and a lot of what I do with my clients is of their mindset is actually learnt or acquired through interactions with other people. So stories that places or like even my own where I thought I was afraid of public speaking. And it was literally that I heard speaking was only second to death. I
Yeah. Yeah.
didn't,
Yeah.
and so I
Yeah.
wasn't doing public speaking, even though I'd done it. And I was like, hang on a minute, why? Why am I afraid of public speaking? I never have been. It's just that I'd heard it somewhere and thought that, oh, yeah, I should be afraid.
Yeah. 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 And sometimes it can change. So I'm really curious too about like how sometimes fear can, like you talk about public speaking. One of the things I do in my coaching practice is I'll often like MC conferences or speak at workshops and events and that sort of thing. And usually I'm really comfortable up on that stage up in front of people. But occasionally I get really anxious and I say to myself, like, who am I to be here? I mean,
Yeah.
who am I to be up on the stage in front of all these people? And I get that thought. And I know in your background, part of what you specialize in is this whole idea of imposter syndrome, which I think a lot of us, if we're honest, we feel it from time to time in all different aspects of our lives. Yeah.
We My favorite one using that where you said all of a sudden you feel nervous, and it's not that it's unfamiliar, MC. And one of the tools that I use with my kids, and I've done it since they were little, was this idea that you're nearsighted. You're nervous and you're excited all at the same time.
Yeah. Yeah.
Your
Yeah.
kids feel the exact same way. So you know how you were talking about your bring reality and changing the way that we think about stuff. And so of I'm not nervous. My hands may be trembling.
Yeah. Yeah.
My stomach's a little bit tight. My hands might be a little bit sweaty, but that's exactly the same physiological response. You're nervous or you're excited. So if you tell yourself that you're actually excited about the opportunity to be here, or
Yeah. Yeah.
excited, it dissipates that nervousness and that
Yeah.
tension that you feel.
Yeah. Because often I think uh, we believe what we tell ourselves. So if I say to myself, I'm anxious or I'm nervous, uh, my body is going to hear that and respond as if I'm anxious or nervous, as
Yeah.
opposed, like you say, maybe I'm excited. Maybe this is a great new opportunity for me rather than something I should be scared of, something maybe I should be stepping into and welcoming. It's a different sort of response. Yeah.
It's more calming rather than, if you're telling yourself, if you look at the physiological responses to both of those things, they're exactly the same. Tell yourself that you're excited.
Yeah.
It seems to, I don't know about you, but in the main, when I calms us down, like it's like, oh yeah, yeah, I am excited. No, this is right. This is a great.
Yeah.
Or if you say that you're nervous, all of a sudden you start tightening up and everything's tends to tense up. Delivering a speech actually harder when everything's tighter? You need to be more relaxed.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Well, I think everything's probably harder when you're really tight, really,
Yeah.
like really bound up like this. And it's interesting too because one of the ways I talk to myself and I journal to, 'cause I like to journal to myself regularly. By
Yep,
regular, I mean most days.
yep,
And I will say something like in my journal, like I'm really sad about blah 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 blah. And then I say, well, how do you know you're sad? I mean, like if you say I'm nervous, like how do you know you're nervous? You think, how do you know? Or are you just coming to that conclusion really quickly? Or
yep.
how do you know this is something, oh, I can't handle that? Well, how do you know you can't? How do you know you can't handle that? Well, in the past, I didn't handle it. Well, maybe now you've got more resources, you've got more knowledge and more experience, so maybe you can. I mean, it's like, that's a question I like to ask. How do you know that? How do you know you're nervous? How do you know you're anxious? How do you know you can't handle that? Yeah, is
Yeah.
that part of your what you work on in mindset?
Oh, absolutely. So a lot of it is getting people to look at wherever the thoughts come from, be here, like you said, getting up on stage. Who do I think I am? Do I really deserve this? I don't deserve to be here. Part of
Yeah, yeah,
it's
yeah,
it's very, if listeners know about cognitive behavioral therapy, these are very standard cognitive processes. What's the story? What's the evidence behind it?
yeah,
So,
yeah, yeah, yeah,
how do
yeah,
I know that I don't deserve to be here? How do I know that, I'm gonna fluff it? How do I know
yeah.
is gonna laugh at me when how do I know?
How do I know how do I know how all these people feel? So do you subscribe to like that CBT? Do you do the ABCD, the Ellis inventory part? Is that what you do?
No,
No.
it is
What
very
do you
much
do?
the standard at the thought, looking at the behavior that goes with it,
Oh, okay, okay, okay.
rewriting. It is very standard,
Yeah,
but
yeah,
it's
yeah,
not strict CBT. I've worked out because it, I've worked out that when I'm looking at business owners, especially when they're talking about fear and imposter, so much that sits behind it that you wouldn't get if you were to say, "Hey, look, I'm afraid of I'm afraid of marketing my business." Is very fears around growth and leadership that people would have in their normal everyday day life.
Okay.
Um,
How are they different, Cara? How are they
well, I think it's because I'm trying to think. It's been a long time since I've done CBT myself,
oh,
and a lot of it was to do with relationships and things like that.
yeah,
And
yeah,
so you've generally you tend to have more writing on it. It's when you're a small business owner, you're the one that does the so you're the one that has to get up and present. You're the one that has to send the invoice. Because I tend to find that the fears tend to appear around three different things. It's either communication, it's around finances, or it's around relationships that they have. So, um, and most of the time when we're talking personally, it's from my experience, it tends to be about relationships. It's not about, sending or opening the mail or sending an email or posting on social media. It's not those kinds of things that they do their CBT about. And so you've also got things around different boundaries that we have to hold. We've got the sense of personal purpose, but we also have the purpose that our business has. And there's a lot of research that sits behind the importance of purpose
yeah, yeah,
in judgment as well. Um, being aligned with our personal values. So I think there's this layer of your own personality in the business as an entity itself, and it has, a business has its own purpose and core beliefs and values as well, and its
yeah,
own core needs. And so it's this two-dimensional entity that has to go through these processes, not just the person itself when they go go through the normal CBT processes that they would have one-on-one. The other thing is that most psychologists run their own businesses.
Yeah, 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 that's true.
So
Yeah, most are self-employed or they're running a practice with a couple of others maybe. Yeah.
yeah, or their employees. They
Or they're
really
employees of big companies like maybe ad agencies or somewhere where they employ
or
psychologists.
a small practice. They could be an employee in a practice, or they could be partners in a practice, or
Yeah, yeah.
and uh, I'm in a couple of groups for psychologists developing their own practices,
Mm.
and the conversations that they have are very different to
Yeah,
group
yeah, yeah, yeah,
conversations that
yeah.
I see.
A
It's
and
very
I'm sure I mean, I haven't been in a psychology practice, but I'm sure like any medical practice or psychology practice, I'm sure one of the biggest issues is the same issues that a lot of, our members face, which is marketing. And you think about fear, and a lot of the fear I hear from our members at Buddies is around fear of doing marketing, like fear of videoing themselves, fear of feeling stupid, looking stupid, sounding stupid. And that fear means they just don't do it at all.
yeah.
Uh, or if they do it, they do like an overly stylized, overly scripted, overly edited piece, right? And it's really bizarre because I mean, as someone that makes a lot of content, I find it strange because people are seeing you anyway, right?
Yep.
Like people in your life that see you anyway. So seeing you on video is the same as seeing you in real life, right? And it's promoting your business. It's making everything else easier.
I think so. One of the things that I say to clients that come to me, that the way that we see ourselves is not how other people see us.
Okay.
Everyone's got version. So people who have met me have a very different version of Kara in their minds. And a really easy way to explain that is my kids have a Kara in their minds to my husband, to my mother, to my brother, to my best friend, father-in-law. They all carry different versions of Kara in my mind. I'm worried about them. My version of Kara is different to how they perceive me because they have different life experiences
Yeah,
of
yeah,
me.
yeah.
And
And
so
they have different
worrying
lenses. They have different. I mean, your husband has a different lens on you than your kids do, right? I mean,
yeah,
it's a different lens they're looking through. So they're seeing different things. The curious thing I find that I'd like to get your thoughts on this is I find people's self perception of all the people you just talked about, the self perception is often the worst perception of anybody. Like if you asked your friends or your family or your kids or anyone that knew you well, they'd likely say something positive and likable about Kara. But often what Kara is hearing about Kara is going to be quite destructive. And you
yeah.
would never say that to other people that you care about, right?
No, and so there's a couple of things. There's the old adage that we're our own worst critic,
Yeah, yeah,
that we pick up so many stories about who we think we should be through our lives
yeah,
and
yeah,
the kind of person we should be. And I was very much like this. And the one thing that was putting up a photo of myself, and I've found a photo of my dad, and I think I was about 18 months, 2 years old. And if thought of, well, you shouldn't be doing this. Who do you think you are? And it's like, would I turn to her and say to her, you can't do that. You shouldn't do that. Who do you think you are? Would I talk to her the self now? No, I wouldn't.
yeah, yeah, yeah,
I really wouldn't. And so when year 12, I actually got her first school photo and I put them in frames and I gave them to her and I said, what I want you to do is when self-critical and are thinking those negative things about yourself, what I want you to do is look at that little version of you And it's like, "Would you say that to her?" And she's like, "No. You're the same person. Don't. Like, don't say
Mm-mm.
that stuff to yourself."
Yeah.
And some people will go, "Well, would," like you'd mentioned, you wouldn't say that to a friend. And
No.
yes, but we see friends differently. Remember that, those lenses, and I think that's the reason why the younger versus, now, or
Mm.
versus talking to a friend is very different. It's
Yeah. Yeah.
um
Yeah. It is. You think, well, how do I go about? I guess once I recognize that, that's step number one is awareness, right? I'm aware that I'm thinking this way, and I'm aware that it's having a negative impact on me and others around me, and on my business in this case, right? So my business isn't as successful as it deserves to be, which is what I like to talk to people about. Like, we want to help you make your business as successful as it deserves to be, rather than putting up roadblocks or barriers that are self-imposed. You think, well, okay, if I'm aware of that and I feel like, well, I'd like to change how I'm thinking, um, where do you start with that? Like, where would you recommend, as an expert in this space, where would I start in changing how I'm feeling about myself?
um uh, the pl the play with my clients is always what their core values are.
Okay.
And Brené Brown's Dare to Lead has a
Uh,
Dare to Lead list of values I absolutely love. And I say to them, "Okay, so what I want you to do is imagine a wall and you have to take action. Like, there is no choice. There is no getting out of it. You can't delay it. Take action. What are the things, what values do you go to or think of when you have to take action?" Is core values. And the reason why I use it is because when we're behaving our core values, one, we are being authentic, which we're told that that's the best thing to be online,
mm,
authentic. The other thing is that it helps with boundaries.
mm,
I find, and psychologists know, that it prevents a thing called dissonance. So you may feel you're a bit off track, things just don't seem to be right. You're ignoring red flag clients in particular. A
mm,
lot about with clients is that, I really need to make some money and I will job it is. I know that client's going to be bad for me, but I have to take it. It's because people act with their core values. And when we're behaving in alignment with our core values, it helps sense of being true to yourself and then taking action. It stops um, the red flag clients and people overstepping your boundaries.
yeah, yeah,
Art.
yeah. I guess it stops other people from stepping over boundaries, but it also stops you from stopping yourself. You know what
Yeah.
I mean? Like, because I think a lot of small business owners, they don't they don't give themselves enough credit for what they're doing. Because if you think, if you're in a big company, there are there are specialist divisions or people in a whole range of areas, everything from HR and packaging and marketing and selling and technical expertise and forecasting and financial blah blah blah. That's all in a small business, often done by one person, right? All those different things. So you think, well, you're getting hard on yourself for not doing all of them brilliantly, but wow, that's a big call. To do all of those great. You think, well, there's obviously something and one of the things I love about talking to our members is understanding like the passion that drove them to do what they're doing. Well, whether
Yeah.
it's like stainless steel cookware or it's sunproof clothing or whatever it is, right? I think, wow, that's really interesting. What got you into that? Like, what was the inspiration for you, right? And there's usually some sort of love or inspirational need that they're following, but they expect themselves to be experts in everything. which is really not like an arrogant way, but they think, "Oh, well, I'm not expert at this." Well, told it. Well, who is? I mean, there very few people are good at everything.
Well, that's just it. It's being a jack of all trades is great, but you've got one or two particular reasons,
Yeah,
and
yeah, yeah,
you
and
best.
be proud of that, feel great about that, and think, "Well, I'm going to find a way of getting expert, and it's okay not to be expert in everything. That's normal. It's more than just okay." Yeah,
Yeah, it's that you do focus on the things that you're really good at and you really enjoy, because I know time where I've taken on projects which I really shouldn't have, but yes, I can do it. Yes, I've done, and it shows in the work. It
yeah, yeah,
shows
yeah,
in the
yeah.
work when you do that kind of stuff.
Yeah, yeah, and sometimes other people I know with clients I work with, sometimes they have more confidence in me than I do. They say, "Oh," they know me, they say, "Peter, you would be great at this." I think, "Really?" Yeah, and they basically, like, sell me on the idea of that, like, "Okay, if you think I'm great at that, okay." That wasn't where I had all my sort of, like, ego stacked up around this thing they think I'm gonna be great at. I think but it's lovely when people feel that, when you feel supported, right? You feel
Yes.
like and it's weird again that, like, other people's voices is sort of louder than our own.
Yeah, you know what? I think the thing is we tend to discount. It's like, well, it doesn't matter that I've got 1,000 raving reviews
Yeah, yeah.
on store, or I've got um 10 brilliant Google profile. It's that one person
That
that
didn't
throws
like me,
us.
like yeah,
And
yeah,
what and
yeah,
that's the reason why I've got a folder. I've literally got a folder. I've just looked at it on my folder of feedback that I've received, and those days where I'm doubting and it's a hard day, and we have them. It's normal.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
It's like the Santa Claus thing. You were able to believe in Father Christmas. You can believe in yourself for 10 minutes.
Yeah, believe in yourself for 10 minutes and the other great thing, I mean, the phrase you used earlier that I wanted to explore with you now was that this whole idea of imposter syndrome. I remember, um, I was speaking to another psychologist,
Mhm.
and she's in Poland, and, um, her name was Eski, and she was also an actress, right?
Yeah.
And I asked her, I said, "Eski, I'm really," and she specializes in imposter syndrome. And I said, "I'm really curious, like you're an actress and you're an expert in imposter syndrome. Are you being an imposter when you're acting?" And she said, "That's the only time when I'm never an imposter because I'm fully inhabiting a character, right?
Yeah.
And the only way acting works is when you fully inhabit a character and you're actually being true to yourself when you're acting a role," which I found a really interesting spin, right, on it. I think a lot of us, particularly small business owners, we think like, "Who am I to be doing this?
Yeah.
Who am I to be making $1 million a year? Who am I to be breaking ground with new technology? Or who am I to have an idea that's gonna translate into a great business? Who am I to do that? I'm just me. I'm little old me." Is that your experience?
Not personally.
You've
Um,
never had imposter syndrome?
oh gosh, yes.
I get it all the time. I get it almost every if
No,
I
no,
don't get it,
no.
I feel a bit weird. I feel I'm not an imposter today. That's a bit
No,
strange.
no, I spoke at the first interstate speaking engagement, because I'm based in Adelaide and I had to go to Sydney for it. I was speaking at a social media conference, and I social media directly after Facebook.
Wow, okay.
And I
Yeah.
don't know what's gonna bring up imposter syndrome, but I reckon it's that
Yeah,
was. So what I know is this is why I focus on traits and making sure that you embody your authentic self, because I think that's what a part of it's the story. So that's where the CBT stuff comes in. Part of it is understanding the work.
yeah, yeah,
I work with Brene Brown's list. Part of it is having a purpose. at that. Part of it is boundaries and making sure that you're very good at having boundaries. Part of it is having what they call psychologists control. I know what is within my control and what is not, and I am going
Mm,
to focus what is within my control.
yeah. Okay.
And that also means that I do not need the validation of people outside of me to make me feel good about what I do. And that tends to be, for me, that was the last.
Yeah, yeah. Because a lot of small business owners think it like they're relying on customer validation to feel good. They think,
Yeah.
well, or if you're doing social media, how many views or how many likes, or it can be really toxic. Like because in the buddies business, I'm checking that every day with the content that we make,
Yep.
and I sometimes feel a bit downhearted, or if it's not. But then I get really excited when something works really well because I'm thinking, wow, we're doing something that people are finding valuable, right? But
Yeah.
if we don't, I think, well, it's really just like it's like an education. If it's not doing so well, it means do something else, like and do more of what's working and less of what's not working. Yeah,
Absolutely. And that's why um my work was literally okay, so what are the metrics telling you? What do you know
yeah,
about your
yeah,
client
yeah.
avatar and all of those things? What is working, what's not, of things. But in my field, most people don't want to click like on my content. They don't want
Yeah,
to.
yeah, yeah. Most people don't like or comment. Most people like scroll, and I'm the same. When I'm on social media, I very rarely like anything. I might send it to somebody. I might share it with somebody if I think it's worth sharing. Like with my kids or with my friends, I might
Yep.
send something to them. Yeah,
Yeah. Yeah. We
but
all share the funny reels, but we don't share the.
the funny was, or that woman, I don't know whether you saw that woman recently that stole the baseball off the little kid whose birthday it was. I think it was in
No, I
Philadelphia.
didn't.
Did you see that?
No.
She, that quick story. It's relevant to mindset. I mean, I don't follow baseball, but I follow a lot of sports. We have a lot of sports feeds, and there was this. I think it was a Philadelphia game. I think it was a baseball game. Anyway, this famous batsman, he hit a home run, and this the little kid there, I think he was 5 or 6 years old. The ball landed in the grandstand, and the dad grabbed the ball and handed it to his little boy, and the whole crowd could see this
Oh,
on the big screen, and everyone's going, "Oh, isn't that lovely? It was his birthday." Then this woman comes up and argues with the guy and says, "That's my ball," and like gives him such a hard time. She takes the ball off the kid and walks away. Right
what?
now, and she was really, really quite angry. Right, really quite angry. This woman. And I was laughing because what they'd done was that the people the baseball team got the little boy downstairs. The guy that hit the home run gave him a signed baseball and the ball, and he got more than he would normally have got. Right,
Yeah.
but somehow the people watching it on social media tracked this woman down, and they're making her life hell. Right, because she was the one that stole the baseball from this little kid.
Oh God.
There's a little kid in the stadium, and that video itself has got like 10,000 likes and shares and
Yeah. Yeah.
and
Yeah.
everything else because it was just so, I guess, typical of well, not typical, but people aren't usually like that. But it was a really great example in a very short amount of time of something really unjustifiable and wrong. You know what I mean? And real. It wasn't like tricked up. It was a real happening in real time.
Yeah.
It was hilarious. I mean, it wouldn't have been hilarious being a little boy or being the dad, but the whole crowd was just so anti. I'm surprised she could walk out of there alive. You know what I mean? With a crowd that many people that angry, I'm surprised she could get out of there without being lynched or whatever. I don't know. It was crazy, crazy, crazy. Now, I could talk about you with mindset forever. I love what you do. If anyone's interested in following you up, you're going to have your contact details in the show notes to the podcast. I think it'd be a great idea if mindset is an issue with you and your business to reach out to Kara and get her thoughts and advice. But for the time being, Kara, I just wanted to thank you for being a guest on the Buddies podcast today.
Thanks for having me on, Peter.
I loved that conversation with Kara, and I hope you did too. I particularly liked the simplicity of her approach. I like the idea that she is a university-trained psychologist, not just a self-help guru. And I like the idea of this flexible mindset so we can change our mind to feel better about ourselves, about our businesses, and about the people around us. And speaking of people around us, if you are a Buddies member, please contribute to the community and make your suggestions and ask your questions. And if you're not a member of the community yet, check out the community at buddies.com. We'd love to see you there. And I'd love to see you next time on the Buddies podcast.